Welcome to another episode of the Harmon Solar Podcast. I'm your host, Ralph Romano, VP of Sales and Marketing at Harmon Solar. With me, at always, my co-host, Ben Walschlager. Also, you guys know him as Mr. Everything. Ben, how you doing?
Good.
It's been a while.
It's been a couple weeks.
It's been a couple weeks. We've had the holidays, and you know.
You have a good holidays?
It was good. I took vacation, which meant I just didn't go to work, which was nice.
Yeah.
I got a break and stuff, and didn't have to really...
I did not take a break. I just kept working because someone has to run the company, I guess. Right?
Well, Mr. Everything means that you have to do everything.
Right.
So did you do my job for me?
Well, that's pretty easy to do, but yeah.
Wow. We'll talk about that after we record.
12 new podcasts will be coming out.
12 new podcasts. So this is our episode number 9.
Yep.
You know, so we've gotten, we have 10 of them out with a 2-parter last time. So this is episode number 9 of the Harmon Solar Podcast. And today...
We got a guy?
We got a guy.
There it is.
I don't have my We Got a Guy sweatshirt, but we got a guy.
Yep.
And this guy is a project manager at Harmon Solar. And not only is he a project manager in Arizona, but he's also a project manager for our Oklahoma operation. So he's a hybrid.
Yeah, 2 different markets. Sure, 2 very different scenarios.
Right. They're a little different, right? So he's going to kind of share with us some of that, you know, what that means. And then, of course, you've had project management experience with the company.
A couple days.
So we're going to rely on you and him to kind of walk through this. And we want to educate you guys on, you know, once we get down the road, we've been going down this road with when you buy solar with us and kind of the process. And I think one of the last things we did before we went to the 101 series, we talked about the audit. Right, with Lucas. And so now after the audit, there's a lot of other things that happen up through installation. And this is where a project manager kicks in and he's your guy, gal, whatever that may be, and kind of walks through the project to make sure it happens the correct way for you. So we thought obviously the next step would be have a project manager come on board and kind of talk about what they go through and what they do and how they interact with you. So that's the whole point of this show today.
This is the, okay, what's next? So you bought solar, you made your major purchase. Okay, now what? How do I get this thing on my roof?
Right.
Let's talk about that.
I agree.
That's what we're doing.
Let's do it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring on Kalvin Pachote, our PM, like I said, our hybrid PM for Oklahoma and Arizona. And there's that guy, Kalvin. Welcome, Kalvin.
Hey, hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are y'all doing today?
We're okay.
We're here. Got some good food in me, so that was the main reason.
Because we eat here at the Harmon Solar Podcast.
That's right.
Well, at least my guests eat.
It's really the only reason why I come here.
We've had this conversation. It's the only way we got Kalvin to come.
Right.
So we told him there'd be food.
Right.
And he showed up.
You know what we should do? We should start posting the menu of what we're eating.
We should.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Get some foodies in here.
You'll have me in here for a few weeks.
And Kalvin just found out like 2 days ago he was coming in, so I thought it was really good of us to do that. So, you know.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to this. All right. So Kalvin, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? Tell us, how long you been in Harmon?
I've been in Harmon going on about 2 years now.
2 years.
Yep.
So that is the shortest tenured person we've ever had on the podcast.
Yep.
You should feel special.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. 2 years. So, okay. And so
he's still new.
He is relatively new.
We'll
still.
check back in 10 years and see how things are going.
I mean, I'll be retired on a beach somewhere, but you can check in all you want.
Well, I'm going to be just as retired as you.
No, you'll be still here.
Dang it.
You'll be here forever. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Went to school in Berkeley. Went to sales right after that, and I've been doing sales for about going on 10 years now. And then I went from sales to here and started in sales and then moved over to the management side.
Sales, right. What kind of sales, if you don't mind me asking?
Started with car sales.
Car sales, okay. Cool.
I did car sales for quite some time.
That's a tough gig.
That is a tough gig.
That builds some character.
Well, wait, what kind of cars?
I did both Toyota and then Marin luxury cars. So that's Jaguar, Range Rover.
So Toyota, luxury cars, okay, that's a pretty good gig.
Yeah, it's a pretty good gig, yeah.
You can make good
Toyotas are great.
Here we go.
Okay, so we know they're great.
We're not getting paid for this promotion.
Yeah, so Toyota's not getting anything out of this. But luxury cars is probably a little bit easier gig. You make more money.
Yeah, definitely is.
And you came over and started doing sales, working in the sales department with us, doing some different things.
Yeah, it was a big move when I first got here into Arizona, so it helped me get into Arizona itself.
Right. Okay. So cool. And then you've kind of worked your way into project management. You fell into it. It's funny how that happens in this country.
Right?
We all just kind of fall into it.
Hey, guess what we're doing now?
Yeah. I mean, you fell into it.
I fell into a lot of things.
He's fallen into it. Believe it or not, I fell into it 11 years ago. I didn't come here. I was actually a contractor and kind of fell into running the whole thing. So,
well, correction. I think project management was the only one I asked to be a part of.
You asked? Oh, yeah, you did ask. Yeah. That's right. You did ask.
I asked Ralph, and he said no, so I went above Ralph's head. So he said,
tells you everything you need to know about Mr. Everything right there, including Mr. Backstabber. Okay. So, no, kidding.
Got to climb somehow.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. All right. So you've been around a couple of years. Like we talked about, you've had a bunch of different roles and responsibilities. So now you're a project manager. It's been new to you. How long have you been doing the project management side?
About a year now.
About a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going on a year.
So where Kalvin's different is, so we have an operation in Oklahoma as well, and he really started doing project management for that group.
Yeah,
and that group's run a little different, so it's a little unique about how we do things there, and we can talk a little about that. Mm-hmm. And then you have more the Arizona experience, which Kalvin is now doing Arizona project management as well. So he's doing both, which is just it's newer. You've been doing that maybe few months, right?
Yeah, a few months. I'm still getting the hang of that. It's a lot of new steps. It's like you're getting a little bit further into it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that will never change, by the way.
I figured as much.
I did it for a while, and every day it's like I'm learning something new because something changes. Jurisdictions change, and this process changed. Like, okay, I just learned this, and now this changed. Cool.
It's like you're learning everyone's job.
Right.
And making sure that everyone's doing their job on time.
Yeah.
And how Kalvin's also different in this role is, so at Harmon, obviously we have our Harmon internal sales team that, Dennis and those guys that you've met on this podcast. But we also work with other sales entities that go out there to sell solar, and we do the installations for them.
Right.
So we're very particular about the partners we partner up with, and I have a whole dealer program around it. And we'll probably do a dealer program podcast and maybe bring a dealer on.
Sure.
We probably should do that.
Yeah.
But we have that program, and Kalvin right now is basically doing project management for some of those partners. So it's a little bit different, right? You're communicating not only with a customer, but probably with a sales entity partner as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So we put a little more on you.
The sales rep side who want answers. They want to figure out what's going on to move forward.
Right.
And then also the customer side, they want to figure out what's going on with the roof, what's going on with their project. It's their only line of communication, basically.
Right. We're the middlemen. We're talking to the customer and the salesperson to keep everyone in the loop of, hey, this is what's going on with your project.
Right. And you're paid handsomely for that.
Sure.
And he didn't say a word. Okay. So
if you say so.
What I want to do is I want to help people understand what that looks like. So not every company has project managers. Not every installer has project managers.
Right.
So that could be a bad thing where you go ahead and you get solar and all of a sudden the communication kind of it's crickets. Thank you. So it's and so that's what we want to avoid is we don't want crickets, right? So we believe in and I'm a big believer of over communication to a point where you're like, can you stop calling me, please? I know. Because there is in the process of getting solar, there can be periods of time where there's not a lot new to report.
Right.
Because we're waiting on a jurisdiction to do something or a permitting in Phoenix, waiting on Phoenix permitting, or waiting on this, waiting on that, waiting on a utility input, whatever it may be, right? Things we've talked about in previous podcasts. So we still like to over communicate to make sure you understand.
Yeah.
Hey, we're still here.
A lot of times it is a waiting game. What I've told my customers, systems that I've sold, if we had it our way, we would have you installed like the next day.
Right.
But it's not up to us.
Right.
It's up to jurisdictions and supply chains and this and that. Like in permit offices and utilities, they all have to do their due diligence to make sure everything's done correctly. It's not simple, I bought this, I signed on the dotted line today and I got it installed tomorrow. That's not how the world works, unfortunately.
Right. And with this purchase, this is a pretty, this is not a $5 purchase. This is an expensive purchase. You basically bought this big new toy.
Yeah.
And it takes time to get that toy, and you're going to want to be updated on what's going on, right? So that's the job of the project manager, is to not only keep you updated, but also to make sure, and this is where it's really important, is they work with all the different departments within the organization to ensure that the project is moving forward, because every piece of every department and everything that they do has a timeline set to it. Mm-hmm. So there's an expectation that when it's doing this, it'll take 3 days. If it's in this department, it'll take 5 days. So there's this expectation that these people, these service level metrics that everybody's held to within the organization, and it's a project manager's job to make sure that those things keep moving.
Right.
And we talk about them in a meeting every week. We go over projects, we look at projects, and we focus on projects that for some reason aren't moving.
Yep.
We have software that shows us every project and where it's at, and if we can see if something's been sitting somewhere too long, that gets talked about.
We figure out why. Why is it not moving? What's going on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So their job is not just communication with you, but also keeping the project moving is the point I wanted to make. So there's a lot involved in being project manager. There's a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, I want to touch on some of the talking points, so the touch points that you have with customers, right? So a project gets sold. It comes across your desk.
Yep.
So I know you're a little different with that, but it comes across your desk. What is the first thing you have to do when that happens?
Once it comes across my desk, I'm first going through contracts, making sure everything is correct, system sizes, types of panels, things like that. But then once that's taken care of and everything's uploaded, I'm talking to the customer.
Right. So a welcome call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Letting them know that I'm going to be here with them throughout the process.
Yeah. So they expect to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yes. They should be hearing from me probably at least once a week.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I always made sure that my customers know that, hey, I am the main point of contact. If you have questions on anything throughout the process, you're going to get a lot of emails from different, people and jurisdictions and utility companies and this and that. If you don't sign anything until you talk to me. If anyone else reaches out, make sure you talk to me first, because we want to make sure everyone's on the same page before we're going to that next step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part, just letting them know that, hey, regardless of what's going on, you're here.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Every single step.
Yeah, I'm here for you.
So you're going to call them, you're going to introduce yourself, you're going to have that conversation, you're going to go over the system and everything, make sure they understand what they've purchased.
Go over the system and then go over a base timeline with them, let them know what
Project
to be expecting
timelines
over the next couple of weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think we also send them a welcome email, right?
Yep, that's all at the same time after I call them.
It's got that little graph with the timeline.
Exactly.
Right? Wish we had our
We need to edit
visuals. We
that.
show them a little graph, Ralph.
I don't have visuals today.
I see.
I didn't want to do
I know.
slides.
I know.
So let's talk about the other thing I was going to touch on. So all that stuff. When should they expect that call? So I'll ask you internally. So how many days after they've turned in the paperwork, they've signed everything? Week?
It's really up to the project manager whenever they get it. Once it's assigned to you as a project manager, ball's in your court.
Right.
As soon as I got a deal across my desk, I reached out to the customer that day and say, hey, because I know they're going to be waiting for something.
Right.
As soon as it was sold, the salesperson, hands it off to whoever. It's going to the project manager now. So the homeowner, who I'm always thinking about, is probably waiting. Okay, well, what's next? I'm eager. So as soon as I get, hey, Ben, this is your customer, I'm reaching out that day and say, just a welcome call. Hey, I'm your project manager. We're going to go ahead and, this is where you're at in the process. We're going to take care of you. Some project managers will wait till after the audit because some things might come up during that time. So it really depends on
but you were a guy that you did it up front.
I did. Yeah. I was one of those guys that you said that I'm going to be overly communicating.
Right.
I'm communicating with you at least once a week on a minimum. And then whatever happens throughout the week, I'm going to hey, this just happened today. I'm letting you know.
How about you?
I'm pretty much the same. I like going right as you get it, just because one, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
True.
You could have an entire full day. But two, I like getting them before the audit and everything, just so that they know what's going on, that Donna's going to be reaching out, or that they're going to be scheduled. There's going to be people at their house.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what their sales rep went over with them.
So I would say, that right away would probably equal within the first week by the time it's sold. I think that's fair. That's safe to say. Within the first week, you should hear from us.
Yeah.
I know the one thing you just mentioned it, Donna. So Donna is the person that sets up our site audit schedules. And so you'll get a phone call from somebody, Donna particularly, that'll say, hey, I'm calling to set up your site survey. We want to go ahead and come in there and take a look at everything. So remember the episode with Lucas that talked about the audit. I mean, so she's setting up that site audit for us to come out there and do that. So you're going to hear from, she might be the first one you actually hear from.
Right.
Before you ever even hear
Depends
from
on
PM.
who gets it first.
Right. Who gets it first, right? She gets them pretty quick though.
Yeah.
So that's the expectation. So you sign on the dotted line, you're going to get that, probably going to get that communication from Donna or somebody in that department that says, hey, we want to set this up and do a site survey. And then you're probably going to hear from a PM pretty close to that saying, hey, welcome to Harmon. Glad to have you as a partner. Here's what to expect. That's fair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, so we're going to go down the road here. So then we go to the audit. The auditor comes out there. He does his job, does his thing. And then we've talked about in that episode how we get the compilation, blah, blah, blah. We do all that. So once the audit is done, is that your next touch point?
Not for me, probably how Ben did it more than likely, because
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm not going directly to the customer with those audit comps and stuff, because I'm working with external sales people.
Good point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to the sales rep, letting them know what's going on so that they can talk to their customers.
That's true. So that's a good point.
We're coming to money.
Right. So there's a big difference there. So with you working with the dealers or working in Oklahoma even, with more on the dealers, you're going to focus on the dealer primarily because you got to let them know the results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because maybe we need to go back to the customer and talk about something we found.
Yeah,
right?
Or maybe that they don't even care and they're just take it out of my portion.
Right. And then you.
Yeah. So I'm kind of the same, a little bit different in the fact that I set proper expectations with customers. So I let them know in my initial welcome call, how much information do you want? Because every install, there's probably going to be bumps in the road.
Yeah.
You know, something's going to come up. Do you want to know about the little things? Do you want to know about everything? Do you want to know, I'll obviously let you know about the major things that come down, but just so you know, something tiny is going to come up. Do you want me to solve it? It's going to have no impact on the cost, the production, savings, anything like that. It might be just something that we have to work out internally. Do you want to know about that? Most of the customers are like, no, just, get the job done the way that,
Stop calling me, just do
exactly.
this.
So, because as a project manager, your goal is on time and on budget.
Right.
So you don't want to go back to the customer and say, oh, by the way, this came up, and they're going to get freaked out. And like, no, It's a tiny little thing that we have to change. There's no impact on your production savings, cost, or anything. It's just something that we have to fix internally. So it depends. If it's something small that comes up in the audit, I just tell the salesperson, like, oh, this came up, by the way, like you said. Sometimes, they'll eat that cost, or if there is no cost, there's no issues, and we'll just move right along. But I'll let the customer know, like, hey, we just got done with your audit. Something, small little thing came up. We fixed it. We're moving forward.
Okay.
So if there's a big issue, obviously, then I'll let the customer know, like, hey, this came up. We discussed it. We already have solutions in place. Here are your options of how we want to solve it. What do you want to do?
Right.
So
now in Oklahoma, you call the customer.
Yeah, in Oklahoma, I'm talking directly to the customer the whole time.
So that's where it would be different, right?
Okay.
So,
But those are all our sales reps.
right. No, I understand that. So that's it's a little bit more in line with kind of
Exactly.
what Ben's
Yeah.
doing when you're dealing with Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's weird though. Because it's Oklahoma, but I'm doing it exactly how we would do it here.
So
Right.
do you just like change your voice and have like a
Well,
I'm
very much
Oklahoma,
right here. How are you doing today?
thought maybe you gave an accent or something. I don't know. I was hoping for something, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, in line with that, not only am I having that same conversation with customers, I'm having the same thing with the sales rep. I'll tell sales reps, like, hey, if something comes up and I can fix it, I'm not talking to you about it.
Right.
I'll just fix it. If it has to come back to you in some way or shape or form, then I'll let you know. But if I start bombarding you with calls and emails, you're just going to get overwhelmed, and you're going to want to try to fix things and all this stuff. It's kind of let me do my job,
right,
and I'll get it fixed for you. So if I need something from you, I'll ask it.
All right. So let's get past the audit. So now we've gone through the audit process. Customer's been communicated to if needed to. We go to the next step, which is basically now it's going to go into design. Our design department takes anywhere from 3 to 7 days, depending on, volume and other things. And what that means is they're going to sit there and do the drawings. They're going to basically do the 3-line. It's called the 3-line electrical drawing that they have to submit to the utility for approval and get permits for. So they're going to go through that process in that department. Now, once that's done, the design's done, that's another contact point, typically.
That's an important one,
and
too.
Explain that one.
So that one, I will be, or Kalvin will be reaching out to the customer at that point, because this is where we've gathered all the information and everything is ready to move forward. And now what we need to do is we got to show the customer, like, yeah, I know we gave you a preliminary design that, Daniel has, given you just based off of this, but we've gathered all the information from the audit and the preliminary design, and we've actually figured out, hey, this is where your panels are going to be going. This is all the stuff that you're going to be getting. This is kind of like your final checks and balances of, are you sure this is what you want to do? This is what you're going to get. This is where the panels are going, everything.
Right.
So take a look at that big, long packet that we send you and make sure everything looks okay with what you're getting. And if it's okay, then we move forward. But that's kind of the main thing with a lot of customers. They'll get it and they'll just not respond. And then we have to let them know, like, you do know that every step of the way it's based on your communication with us.
Right.
If you want your project to move quickly, then I need responses quickly. If you take a day, everything else is held up for a day.
Right.
If you take a week, everything else is held up for a week. So if you want it to move quickly, as soon as I send you an email or a phone call or something, I need responses right away. And I let my customers know
that makes sense.
Yeah, you have to let them know from the beginning as well, so that they know the ball's in their court the whole time.
Right, because I can't approve the design. I can't just go, yep, this is what he wants.
Now, in Oklahoma, you're doing it that way, but with the dealers, so now you're communicating that to the actual dealer company.
With the dealers, no, I'm still going directly to the customer.
You're going directly to customers.
Yeah,
so, okay.
If as long as it doesn't involve money, I'm going directly to the customer.
I mean, at this point, we're past that. So, so actually, I didn't realize that. So you're communicating with the customer and say, hey, it's, I need your approval, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I usually send out the
packet.
The packet, and as I send it out, I'm calling them at the exact same time, letting them know that, hey, you should have just received this. Please go over it when you get the opportunity. Make sure it's what you want, because, like you said, it's going to be the final product.
Right. Yeah.
We're showing you the end right now.
Yeah, because once they get that plan set, that's what we submit to the utility and the jurisdiction. You have a lot of those kind of shady companies who will try to sell you, systems that are panels hanging off over the roof or this and that because it makes it look good on paper. And then they do the audit, and afterwards, then they have the actual plan set. And they go back to the customer and go, oh, by the way, I know I told you this, but we're going to need more money, and the production's a little bit lower because, and a lot of homeowners will be like, well, I've already signed the documents. Might as well, sure, whatever, I'll do it. A little bait and switch. Yeah. We don't do that. We try to be honest up front, with everything. So when we show you that plan set, we go, by the way, this is what you're getting. I don't know what your salesperson showed you or told you. If it's an outside company, not Harmon, but this is what you're getting. Because this is what we're submitting and this is what we're installing. Are you okay with that?
And I'm going to say this because this happens more than once.
Yep.
Is Mr. and Mrs. Customer really look at that, especially where the panel placement is, because if you come back and after the fact, and we've gone into permitting and everything else, we're down the road. Well, I don't want my panel installed there. I don't want this. I want to say it's too late. It's not too late, but it is too late in the sense that if we have to make a change. Now we have to stop. We have to go all the way back to the design process, redesign it, and then resubmit everything to the utility, to the jurisdiction. And guess what? That takes time. And guess what else it takes? Money.
Exactly.
That you will now have to pay to make that change.
Yeah. So that's a very important step that when we give you that design, to make sure this is what you want because this is what we're installing.
Right.
Don't change your mind when we're out there with panels.
That you're signing off on it.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, you go somewhere and just sign a paper and don't think about it. Don't do that because too many times we go out there to install and you're like, oh, no. We'll stop and it'll delay everything and it'll cost you money. We'll do that if you want to, but avoid that from happening.
Right.
Because it happens too much.
Yeah.
I would say that.
What's next? What's on the agenda?
Well, I mean, obviously, so we've passed design. So now, like you just said, we submit that design to the jurisdiction for permit, and we submit the utility applications and all that stuff. That we have to submit the designs to the utility. For everybody has to approve everything, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep. Another little tidbit I'll add, and I'm pretty sure you're probably on all the emails, is everyone at Harmon knows everything, even if it's not your project. Do you get all those emails too?
I'm starting to get a few more.
Man. Yeah. Like even if it's not my project, I get CC'd on every single project. Like, hey, this one's in permitting, this one's in design, this one's so everyone has checks and balances. And every now and then, even if it's not my project, I'll chime in just because, people don't like me. I'll chime in whoa.
You mean you'll give your opinion?
I'll give my opinion. Yeah.
I can't imagine that.
I know. It's crazy.
I just can't.
I'll chime in and be like, oh, no. Hey, wait, let's do this instead. Or, panel should go here or this and that. Or, it's helpful because other project managers will ask questions to other project managers. Like, hey, how can we solve this? How can we fix this? And same thing with permitting and all that stuff where everyone's included on the emails. And that's why I get probably 500 a day. And so we see all that. So nothing gets, slipped through the cracks.
Right.
So it's a nice little bonus with Harmon.
Do you ever see him sending those emails out with his opinion on it?
Are you on the permitting and design emails too?
No, I'm not yet. On those emails.
Well,
give it time.
That needs a change.
Give it time.
Because then you'll be like, what's this guy want?
Hey, it's not Ben, it's not even your project.
So now we've submitted for permit. So we're going down that road, right? So we're waiting for the permit to come back. And depending on the jurisdiction, it could be over the counter.
It could be tomorrow.
It could be tomorrow. If it's in the Phoenix jurisdiction, depending on the time of year, it could be 10 weeks.
Yep.
It just depends, right? So I've even seen as far as 15 weeks, 14 weeks out of Phoenix.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on the jurisdiction and the time of year and how busy they are. But hopefully within a good time frame, we get that permit back. And once we have that back, what's the next phone call?
Well, hold on. We might not get that back. We might get red lines.
See, you had to go to the red lines.
It happens. Have you ever dealt with Peoria? Are we allowed to say that on the air?
So now the Peoria won't let us do business there anymore because of that conversation. No, so talk about red lines.
Yeah, so when we submit for permits or to the utility, sometimes they come back and go, oh, you need this, you need this, you need to change that. So we go back to our design and we update things depending on their code, their rules. I mean, their rules change all the time. It really depends on the jurisdiction of what they want.
It's exactly the same in Oklahoma.
Yeah, we do everything up to our codes, up to national codes, state codes. But every now and then you get a jurisdiction goes, oh, can you label this on your drawings? Can you label this on your plan set? You're missing this from the 3 line. This and that. So we go back. Sometimes we go back and forth, which takes time with the jurisdiction.
Talk about Oklahoma. So you said that we're seeing the same issues there.
Yeah, usually with the power companies, because they have like 1,000 power companies over there. Yeah. It's not just 2 or 3.
That's true. So there's OG&E, right? There's
PSO, there's Oklahoma Power,
and then there's a million little ones.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. They're little co-ops.
Co-ops, right? So that's typical in the Midwest. You have a lot of co-ops because there's a lot of deregulated power. And so you have to deal with all the different rules of all the different, and there's so many of them.
And a lot of the time you don't find out until after the permitting stage, once you've gotten your permits and like, okay, we're just submitting for the interconnection agreement now. Oh, you can't produce that much power here. You have too big of a system. You need to downgrade. We've had that happen like 3 or 4 times.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good. My favorite was, well, we'll get to that later. We'll get to the inspection part, but I remember you know what I'm talking about.
Stay tuned.
The good part about saying that is really Arizona it's a lot. There's only the few utilities that we have here.
Yeah.
There's not many. I mean, we don't deal with a lot of the tiny little ones that are out in the middle of nowhere, but we're only dealing with 2 or 3 utilities really out here. So we can get a bigger grasp of the rules, a better grasp of the rules and what can or can't happen. It doesn't mean that a jurisdiction can't change what they want or how they want something. It happens all the time, like you just talked about.
Yeah.
And to try to stay on top of all that is not easy. It's just not. So you're going to get red lines once in a while.
Yeah, and a lot of it's not major. It's just tiny little things on, labeling stuff on your site plan. Like, oh, this person, on the site plan, we put that they, don't have a fence around their house. And so, like, yes, we labeled it, but they want the label somewhere else on the site plan. So, okay, we'll put it over here. But that takes, a day or 2 for us to change that and do this. And
then send it back to them and put it in their little next queue that it has to go wait now again.
Yeah, and then they send it back again and go, oh, and then we also need this. So a lot of that back and forth stuff, which again, I'm not really communicating with the customer or the sales rep at that point. That's what I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of those little things that we can just fix internally that the customer doesn't need to know. I don't need to call them and go, oh, by the way,
At that point, it's just going to make them worry.
Yeah, they're like, what? No, my bushes are too tall? Like, no. We just have to label it.
I think when we submit the drawings to the utility, I think the customers actually get emails from the utility.
Yep.
So they'll start seeing some emails here and there from a utility saying that this is going on or that's going on as well.
Yeah.
So just so you know that, I mean, you guys will have some communication from the utility when you'll see things. Don't freak out. It's all just part of the process.
It even says on that email that the customer gets, typically your installer will, fix this or reach out to you. So if you're a homeowner and you're getting this email, read the whole thing because it says typically your installer will fix it.
So we're going down the road still. So now we get our permit back and
got it.
Everything's good.
Yep.
Right. We're once we have a permit, we're ready to go. Typically at that point, we're ordering equipment if we haven't already ordered it. But our big thing now is we want to get you on the schedule, right? And so talk about that process. What do you guys do?
Well, we also have to order equipment too.
I just said that.
We did that?
Yeah.
We already ordered stuff?
Well, that's where it's different because like Oklahoma, I'm getting them on the schedule before I order equipment.
That's true. He's backwards.
I'm getting equipment literally the day before you guys are installing. I'm getting your equipment there.
Yeah.
Directly to the house.
He gets it delivered the day before, right?
Yeah.
Do we deliver it to the customer's house?
Straight to the customer's
Straight to the customer's house, right? We just drop it on the driveway and say, "See, no,
install it yourself. Good luck."
Here you go. DIY.
No, because when they show up, they'll show up at 7:00.
Yeah.
The delivery drivers aren't up that early. They're not. That's when they're starting.
Right.
They're starting their shift at 7. So I get them all done the day before, so that the customers already know. I'll give them a call beforehand, let them know that I'm going to be getting the parts delivered to them. Where should we put it?
Once you have a permit in Oklahoma, you're telling people, okay, hey, now I want to get you on the schedule.
Yeah.
Right. So you give them a call and talk through that schedule, depending if it's a day install, a 2-day install, whatever it is. They're all different. Right. And then you're calling them again maybe a day or two before to say, hey, the equipment's going to be delivered.
Yep. Well, once we're talking about scheduling, I'll let them know that we're going to be getting equipment delivered to their house. That's when I'll ask them, where should we have it delivered? What part of the house? Because a lot of the time we're doing barns and things like that.
Yeah, again, different,
yeah,
different world out there, right?
Completely.
We got farms and barns and all sorts
shops that look like barns.
She sheds.
He said, yeah, okay.
Arizona's similar depending on the jurisdiction. So, for example, we know like Phoenix takes a long time. So we will get you tentatively on the schedule if we know we're coming up to the point where we're about to get the permit. So we don't necessarily have to wait for the permit and go, okay, we got the permit now. Let's get you on the schedule now, because there's lots of installs, lots of everything. We don't want to go, we got your permit on January 5th and we'll put you on the schedule for March 1st. Like, okay, well, now I have to wait more. Like, no, we know we're going to get your permit here pretty soon. Let's get you tentatively, on the schedule,
right,
just in case we get it, in time. We can, as soon as we get that permit, we can get you installed. Okay. So we kind of plan ahead for this. So if it's other jurisdictions like Maricopa County or Avondale, where we know it's pretty quick, as soon as we get that approval from your design, like we can get you on the schedule pretty quick, because we know the permit offices are pretty fast too. But again, it's just that communication with the customer. Like, it's tentatively on this schedule. And I usually tell my customers, it's either going to be this day, this week, or this week, or this week. So we're aiming for the earlier, but if that doesn't happen, we at least have a few tentative spots for you, just because our install schedules are backed up depending on volume.
And I would say depending on time of year, right?
Yes,
there's going to be times where the calendar is in a good place and you can get stuff to move pretty quick. But as you get toward the end of the year, especially, that's when everybody wants to get it installed before the end of the year. We talked about that in previous episodes, but that's where you can wind up being, no, we can't install it until January.
Right.
So
it's just how it is. That's why I always tell people the best time to get solar is now, January, February. Get it installed before summer.
Get credits, start building credits.
Mm-hmm. Install times are quicker. Jurisdictions aren't backed up. Utilities aren't backed up. They're, they get backed up when everyone is mad rushing in the summer to try to get solar, but then you're not getting it installed till December, maybe January.
Okay. So we put you on the schedule. It all works out. Our crew comes out there. They do their job. I think typically, like we talked about in episode 3, David's roofing crew comes out there first.
Yep.
They put the stanchions up, and this is Arizona. They put the stanchions up, and then the other crew will come behind them, how many ever days later, whatever it is on the calendar, and they do the install. In Oklahoma, I think it's different. I think it all done in one shot.
Lately, it's been all in one shot. We used to have it where they were doing racking the day before, then they'll come out and do everything the next day. But lately, we've been having a lot of smaller systems too, so they haven't needed the whole time. They've been able to go up, put it all up, and go. Yeah,
systems tend to be smaller in Oklahoma for some reason and bigger in Arizona, especially in the last 4 or 5 months. It's been really big.
We probably use a lot more power.
Yeah, probably.
In the summer.
Well, it does get hot there.
A little hotter here.
And they are dodging tornadoes.
That's true. That's true. You need more panels.
A lot more generators out there.
Okay. Yeah.
Tons of generators out there.
But installs in here in Arizona, typically a day or two.
Right.
We do the stanchions one day, and then the actual modules will take, a day or two depending on the system size, and it's pretty quick actually.
Okay. And then so we do that, and then what we do is a post installation. It's called post installation. And what that means is now we have to do the final inspection. Those are typically, they take place within 48 hours of the install being complete. Typically.
Right.
Not always, but typically. Right? So
depends on the jurisdiction. Depends on the jurisdiction, and depends on your project manager if they were working ahead of schedule, and because again, when your system is being installed on a certain day, you can kind of plan ahead, because when you apply for permits, you also have to get that inspected. You're telling the jurisdiction, hey, by the way, they're getting solar, and we're going to need you to inspect it. So once you know when the system is installed, you can plan ahead and get your system inspected. Hopefully, that next day or that same week, whenever it's installed.
Do you let the customers know that, hey, they're going to be coming out?
Yeah, as soon as the install's done, you basically go over the next few steps with them. They're gonna have 2 different inspections, and we're also in Oklahoma, we're doing video inspections as well at the end of it. But I just basically lay it all out for them so that they know one of the guys isn't gonna show up. He's not gonna tell you anything. He's just gonna show up on your doorstep one day.
Yep.
We don't know when he's gonna show up because they don't tell us.
Yeah,
but you'll probably see him from this time to this time.
Yeah, usually when you schedule an inspection, it'll be for a certain day, but then the time slot is 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So
It's like cable.
so be home for 9 hours, and someone might show up.
Oklahoma, it's from the time you schedule it, it could be from any time there to the next 10 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So obviously the homeowner does not have to be home.
No.
We're not telling you stay in your house for 10 days
homeowner
because
doesn't need
someone
to be
might show up
home.
at 3 a.m.
But here they have to be home, don't they?
It depends. Depends on like if we do a solar system with an EV charger and the EV charger's in the garage, then yeah, they would have to be home. So
Or if the inverter's in the garage.
if the inverter's in the garage, yeah. So usually on the inspection notes that I type up, I always put like, the homeowner's hours that he's home is this. Here's their phone number. I've already spoke to them. Make sure you call, 30 minutes before you arrive or something like that.
Okay.
Again, open line of communication. Everyone should be knowing what everyone's doing. So,
And that is, so we're talking about the post-installation, not the utility inspection, but the jurisdiction
yeah.
inspection. Yeah. So once they pass it, I guess they green tag it in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. They say, yep, this is good to go. Now is the big inspection, and that's with the utility.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So and this is the one that we're at the mercy of the utility.
Yeah.
We have no control over this. I know in Oklahoma, we've had some monsters where the utility could take a month to come out.
It's
sometimes even longer.
exactly.
Wow. Yeah.
That's Oklahoma though. I mean, over here, we haven't had that kind of issue.
No, recently I've been seeing about a week. Again, it all depends on the volume, how busy utility companies are, things like that. I've had one case where they came out like 2 days later, so that was kind of nice. But then another one, they came out 2 weeks later. So we don't know. We let them know, let the utility know, hey, it passed city inspection. Ball's in your court. Yep. I wish you would come, right now, but it's up to you. So it really depends on what they want.
Okay. So I mean, and so once that they come out and they say, yep, it gets turned on. And you're solar.
Well, there's a couple more steps, I think.
Okay, tell me more.
There's one. Yeah, so they turn on the system. They give you the PTO, the permission to operate. But then we need to kind of come out and do our final spiel. Set up the monitoring. They showed you how to do that?
I haven't gotten this
You haven't
far
got
yet.
that right? It's kind of fun. It's like you get to build the array again. So you go into the portal and you kind of build the array and go, hey, these are where the panels are, based off of the how it was installed, so you can set it up for the homeowner. And then someone comes out to the home and shows you, hey, here's how to set up your monitoring. We connect it to your internet and kind of show you, based off of what you got and what monitoring system you got of how everything works.
I thought you guys monitored it for me.
Harmon Solar does not monitor.
We've talked about this. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
No, but we get you set up with monitoring. So we need access to your Wi-Fi router, and
right.
We set you up with an email account or the monitoring with your email account, so you get the alerts when things go down. But then after that, everything's on you now.
So then our final touch here would be basically we're gonna after it's been basically blessed by the utility, we give them a call and say, hey, now we need to come back out and we need to do our thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Do we have a name for that?
We send James out. That's our name for it.
That's like a closeout, in a sense, kind of.
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, it really depends on the project manager, how much they want to go into it. Because they were with the homeowner the whole time,
right,
from start to finish, and now we're at the finish line. So it's like, what do you do after the finish line?
I've got an answer for that, not yet though.
Go home. I don't know.
And so in Oklahoma, same thing. I mean,
pretty much the same thing. We're just waiting for them to come out, reprogram the meters. Once that happens and we get PTO, we're good to go.
Unless it's a certain utility that requires a band to be out there or some kind of a plate to be out there all of a sudden. Doesn't tell anybody about it. No, we didn't say that. It's
someone.
It's someone where all of a sudden they said, hey, by the way, we now require this plate to be on there.
Bypass.
Oh, when you said band, I thought you meant like there needs to be a drummer, bass player, guitars.
No, it's
a plate.
Little cover that goes over would go over a meter.
Okay.
And you have to have it on all systems for their power company. It's just their regulations now.
That was just basically, hey, by the way, this is new, and good luck finding one.
This is new, and we didn't tell anyone.
Yeah. And they're all gone.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Okay.
So sorry, Mr. Customer, you need to wait.
So again, back to my original statement before the whole thing. If we had it our way, we would install it tomorrow, but we're at the mercy of every single jurisdiction and utility company. We have to do what they want.
And the point why we're kind of making this such a big deal is you hear we've talked about this in the sales part where companies say, yeah, we'll get it installed for you in 15 days. I call BS because you just can't do that.
Right,
You're at the mercy of so many other people.
Right. I always tell people there's nothing that you can do that's better than what we can do.
Right.
Like we're all kind of in the same boat of at the mercy of jurisdictions. It's not like they go, oh, this is a Harmon solar design. We'll go ahead and push this to the front of the line, and now you're in first place, and now you can get installed tomorrow.
Everyone's treated the same.
Yeah,
it's all equal. It's you're in a pile, and you get there when you get there.
Yeah.
So if they can do it in 15 days, they probably didn't get a permit. They probably didn't do all the things they're supposed to do. And if they even turn it on without all that, boy, could you get in trouble.
Right.
And it happens.
Yep.
So be careful who you're dealing with because you need to make sure it's done right the whole way through. Or you could have the jurisdiction on you. You could have the utility on you. It could be not pretty.
Yeah. There's a lot of horror stories out there.
The systems that are installed and can't be turned on for 2 years.
Yep.
And there's those horror stories in solar too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's happened a lot. Okay, so we've kind of reached the finish line at that point. I mean,
You said you had a comment. What do you do when you get to the finish line of something? You win the race, got to the finish line?
I put a medal on.
Go, okay. That was it? Because you won?
Because I won.
You at the podium?
I win. So we're at the finish line. It's all done, and
start saving money.
That's it. Right? Oh, there is one more thing we do. What do we do? Come on, you guys.
You just give the customer a call and say, hey, congratulations. You're now part of the Harmon family.
What else?
I don't know.
Come on, man.
Am I failing at my job?
You are right now.
Okay.
Right now, you're failing.
I tell Ralph that this system is turned on. I don't do that.
Oh, yeah. I email Marjorie.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
You bill them. You send them a bill.
No, we should have already collected that bill.
I know. I'm just kidding. You asked for more money.
No, we asked for
referrals.
We asked for review.
Reviews. Oh, yeah.
Because reviews are important in today's world, and we want real reviews. And if a customer's had a good experience with us, we want it to be told. And if they had a bad experience with us that we then made right, we want that to be told.
Do we?
We do. It's okay to have a bad experience, but then we do the right thing.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, we want to ask for reviews. I would. That's why I think it's so important to have a good relationship with the customer all the way through, so they can come back and say, "Yeah, you know what? Kalvin was awesome. He talked to me when I didn't want to talk to him, but he told me everything that I needed to know."
I want a customer on this podcast that had a bad experience initially, and then we solved it.
We're gonna go there.
Let's get that.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So, if you're listening out there and you're a customer who had kind of a shaky experience, but then we fixed it, let us know.
We're gonna do that.
Message us. Email Ralph. I'll give you his phone number. You can text him, call.
Email Ralph. Let's not. So, that's the whole process for getting solar, and that's the process that you guys are managing as project managers. Mm-hmm. Let's look at this. What's one thing that stands out, the toughest thing in that whole process that you have to deal with? Is there one thing that stands out where you're like, man, this is just
the toughest thing?
I hate this. I always have to deal with this.
When something comes back from the audit that that, again, the salesperson didn't know, the homeowner didn't know, it's something major that comes back that's going to potentially upset the customer. You're like, oh, we came back and you need a new service panel. Like a whole new service panel. It's a couple $1,000s. Again, no one knew about this. Salesperson didn't know. You at home, you didn't know. But now we have to break that bad news to you. Like, oh, by the way.
Contrary to popular belief, we do not want to be the bearer of bad news.
Exactly. But sometimes we have to.
We have to be.
For safety reasons.
Yeah. I would say I agree with that. That's probably the toughest thing you guys deal with.
Yeah.
Is having to communicate that.
I would say playing the line between nice and mean.
What does that mean?
You have to be able to go to these companies and let them know that you have timelines and we're supposed to be sticking to it. But at the same time, you have to let them know, hey, this isn't for me. I'm just here to help. What do you need? How can I help you? But we still have to get this done regardless of what you're doing.
So you're talking more about dealing with the dealers.
Yeah, dealers, installers. Either way.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Because you're trying to make this thing continue to keep moving, and then you got to start
internally.
You got to find that fine line of being nice, being politically correct, and being like, come on, I need to get this done.
Exactly.
What do I need to do to get this done? There's no reason this needs to be sitting the way it's sitting.
Exactly. So whether it's installers, internal, timelines, whatever you're going through, you still have to figure out how to manage that time.
I would definitely say that Oklahoma is a tougher.
Yeah.
This process in Oklahoma is a little tougher.
Really?
And I think it's because solar is so new out there.
Makes sense.
We've been doing it for so long in Arizona, but in Oklahoma, it's a really new thing. It's probably where we were 10 years ago.
Really?
So there's a lot of people still learning, and you have to be patient.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So there's definitely challenges. There's no doubt there's challenges. Yeah. But it's still really worth it out there. So it's really beneficial. But man, it can get tough.
It definitely does, but it's worth it.
All right. What else?
What else?
What else am I missing? Is there anything missing within this process or this? I think a customer has a really good idea now. If you watched all our podcasts to this point, I mean, you should pretty much know what to expect from the time that we set up an appointment to the time where now your solar's turned on. We've hit everything.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. No more
That's
podcasts.
the end of our podcast ever. No, we got a lot more.
All right.
But I mean, we've hit absolutely everything now to this point.
That's true.
So, I mean, there should be no surprises, hopefully. But you should have a general idea of what it is that we go through and to what you're going to be going through when you do this purchase.
Again, it's all about communication. There are some times where I've had some customers, I tried calling, I tried emailing, I tried texting. I'm like, I need a response. And then eventually, oh, yeah, I just kind of ignored your calls. I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to get this thing going here for you so that you can be, saving money. The goal is for you to save money. We need to get this on your roof as soon as possible so you can start saving as soon as possible.
It's worse when it's already on the roof and you just need to get in contact with them so you can turn it on.
Yeah.
That happens a lot in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Because you have like people that are truckers and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're gone for a month at a time.
Oh, wow.
And we had one that I remember.
Final inspection, they didn't even do it with her. They just had the inspector go out and do a video, and it was a whole thing.
Because she was never there.
She wasn't.
It was like a month and a half or after install or something like that. Wasn't it more?
No, it was like 4 or 5 months after the install that she finally got PTO'd.
Isn't that crazy? Because she was
Just
always
waiting on the inspection.
Always gone.
Yeah.
So it was just no cooperation. And it was not her fault. That's her job.
No, that's her job. Exactly. That's how she's paying for it.
Yeah.
But
never a dull
now
moment
have
in
those 4 or
project
5
management.
months without it
Right.
that you could have been saving up credits. And that's the part that's hard because it's like, I'm here for you at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
This is something that you can be helping yourself with because you're working this hard already. This is why you got it.
So really good point. I mean, so I'm going to focus on, if I end with anything, it's over communicate, which we do. Yeah. Hopefully we always do. But you guys out there play a role in this as well. We need you to be a part of this. And if you're not, it's on you because we can only do so much.
Yeah, I don't want to make decisions for you. I don't want to guess what you want. So it's really up to you.
We can move as fast as you help us move and as fast as the utilities and the jurisdictions move.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. That's the solar industry. So from beginning to end, there's a lot of factors in there, and we don't control a lot of it.
Yeah.
The pieces that we control, we better make sure we do what we're supposed to do. There's a piece you control. There's a piece other people control. And as long as we can all work together, it could be a nice, smooth process. But it ain't going to take 10, 15 days like some people tell you. This is not real.
Yeah.
So I just don't care what anyone says. I challenge all of you out there that say that to your customers. Prove me wrong.
Right.
And show me that you're doing it right. I guarantee you.
Yeah, we could put it on your roof illegally.
Yeah. And I know companies that do that.
Yeah.
And it's just not the way it gets done. So
it wouldn't even take 15 days at that point.
Yeah. I mean, we could do 15 also.
Yeah.
But that's why I always say, make sure you look into who you're working with and how they're doing things and make sure they're doing it the right way. And if you don't see all these things happening, like we just talked about, something's probably wrong.
Yeah.
If you wake up one morning and there's a solar system up there and you're kind of 10 days later, something probably wrong.
I didn't buy this. It's the wrong house.
And I have a story about that's happened.
Yeah,
I know it's happened. I know.
Yeah, that's happened.
I've heard that story.
Where somebody let us know that they woke up and there was people putting solar on the roof and they just didn't say anything and they had a solar system on the roof.
Congratulations, you won.
It wasn't theirs, but we didn't do. It wasn't us. But that did happen.
Or they don't use the approved design.
Yeah. There's all these things that can happen, which is why project management is so important. So it's so important for us to make sure we're moving things through. This is a really rough job. It's probably one of the rougher jobs that we have in the organization is project management because if you've ever been in construction, you understand that things happen.
Yeah.
And so this job is this person having to make sure that it moves as fast as possible, as correctly as possible, and over communicates to you to let you know what you're doing. Because the more we communicate to you when something does go wrong, if it does go wrong, you're probably going to be more open to having that conversation versus us never talking to you and something goes wrong and like, oops.
Yeah.
And the only time you hear from us is when we give you bad news.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good. So that's how we do it at Harmon anyway.
Yeah.
So
that's just the residential side. The commercial side is
we're not going to talk commercial
100,000 times crazier than the residential side.
Anything you want to add? Anything you feel that we missed or
no? That was pretty much everything from start to finish.
All right.
And your eyes are this big because you've been doing this for like a year, and you're like, my gosh, no, it's not.
No,
that
it just brings you to projects where it's just like, oh, that was a fun project to get through.
It is nice to see it you go from a project from start to finish. Like when you're completely done, you're like, wow, that was my baby. Gone on, graduated, and on his own now.
And you've created a relationship with that customer, which is kind of cool.
And that will never go away.
It starts at why are you calling me? Stop calling me. Please call me. I'm so glad you called me.
And then the next one is, hey, we're having a barbecue later. Do you want to come over?
And that does happen.
I know
because it's happened to you.
I know it. I get that a lot.
All right, man. So that's project management. Hopefully you got something out of that one. And I thought it would be important just to have this conversation and go through it. And so now we'll be going in some different directions next.
What's next, Ralph?
Do you know? I've got a lot of ideas. I know you do too.
Sure.
I do want to bring in our operations manager, director. I think it'd be good to have that conversation with him. Maybe even bring in a foreman that actually goes to the house. That'd be kind of cool.
Talk about the actual install?
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of interesting to do.
We talked about installs. Might as well get into
just
in depth.
Yeah, I mean, just something a little bit more in depth. And then I want to talk. I want to get into batteries. Okay. I want to get into APS. We haven't done that yet. And I really want to bring customers in here.
Yeah,
I really want to do that. And I want to bring dealers in here. I think that would be interesting.
So we have a long list, in other words.
We've got a huge list of things.
Job security.
Yeah. So we've hit, like I said, we've hit about 9, 10 episodes, whatever it is, and there's a lot more to talk about.
Sure.
So,
well, as always, thanks for having me. Should we end on something weird like we always do?
No. So, Kalvin, thanks for joining us.
Kalvin. Thank you guys for
last minute
me.
Joining us. I appreciate it, and kind of opening up a little bit of Oklahoma to us, which is interesting. And thank you to my co-host.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Who is always here for the food.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
I'm going to go downstairs and get more.
The dog, I think, ate it. Dang it. So, but thank you again for tuning in and watching our Harmon Solar podcast. Remember to like and subscribe. We're growing a little bit, and we're getting some really good feedback on the things that we're sharing with people. I know these things they actually show a couple weeks later, but we're going to be at the home show this week, which I know we're going to be really promoting the podcast and talking to people. So if you're at a home show and you see Ben,
he's going to be there too.
You see Kalvin, you see me, which you probably won't. Come up and talk to us. We're more than happy to talk about all this stuff. This is what we do. It's what we love. And, we appreciate everyone out there, and we're always looking for ideas for other podcasts that you would like us to do as well. So be more than happy to put those in the comments, share, give us a call Ben. I'll give you his number.
Yep. Put it on the screen there.
888. No. But anyway, so like and subscribe, and we appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.